Slamcast. 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 Welcome. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Slamcast. I'm your host, Greg. Let's get right into it, shall we? Welcome back, folks, to an extremely late episode of the Slamcast. For those of you that are unaware and may be wondering why I have made such a late recording in the week, I have one simple answer for you. My sister got married over the weekend. So Saturday was the actual wedding, and Sunday I was quite tired, to say the least, after all of the celebrations and recreations and such and such and such. Just needed a break. And then on Monday, I celebrated my birthday. Yes, that's right, folks. I am turning the ripe old age of 23. And I don't feel any different. Nothing seems to have changed. So let's hope it stays that way. We'll see. But anyways, I'm kind of just giving you the bullet points of what happened. So I'm just going to be going through those. And yeah, that's all I'm really going to be discussing this week, especially due to the fact that it's already so close to the end of next week. I'm basically already halfway. I'm recording on a Wednesday today, so I really don't want to talk about much else. So I have some stuff to talk about, seeing as how I'm giving myself such a tiny window for more material next week. So yeah, my sister got married. Congrats to the lovely new couple. They're currently in Italy, I believe, celebrating their honeymoon. So congratulations to them. Had a wonderful time. They had a wonderful wedding. Sorry, itchy ear. Ooh, feels good. Yeah, let's run down that a bit, shall we? Ended up actually crashing at my nona's, my grandmother's house, the night before the wedding. For those of you that are curious, we actually had the rehearsal dinner last Wednesday. I've heard it's kind of commonplace to have the rehearsal dinner the day before the wedding, or I guess the night before the wedding. I don't know if it's too customary, but I know it's somewhat common. So just to clear that up, so people are curious as to if that did or didn't happen, because to get into that further, I was at my grandmother's house, crashing there with my brother, so that we could get her to her hair appointment on time, and also due to the fact that there was one bride and many a bridesmaids at my home where they would be getting their hair done very early in the morning, and there was definitely not enough room for me and my brother in this house filled with women and estrogen, which was what everybody was saying when all these bridesmaids came to the household. So yeah, we crashed there, woke up fairly early, drove my nonna to her hair appointment where she met up with my aunt, my Zia, and kind of went back to home from there to get on mine and my brother's snazzy tuxedos while the women got ready. They looked lovely, but I looked damn classy, and I got quite a few compliments, and it felt good for my ego and my self-esteem. So, fellas, or I guess ladies, if you're ever feeling like you got a low self-esteem for whatever reason, or your confidence ain't doing too well, just do yourself a favor and rent a tuxedo. That is clearly the best and only option, because you're going to get a damn lot of compliments and you're going to look damn good while you get them. So we got that all set up. We started taking pictures and celebrating. Ran a little bit late for whatever reason, and we all got kind of caught up. Made it just in time for the church, the actual wedding ceremony itself, though, so no need to worry about that. And everything went well. My brother walked my sister down the aisle, and I walked my mother down the aisle. But here's the thing I didn't expect. Okay. When it comes to me and my brother, well, I don't know if that's always the case. Well, it's definitely not the case anymore. But I felt like most of the family, myself and I think my brother included, Andrew, please let me know if I'm in the wrong at all by saying this, but I think we all thought that my brother would be the one, let's say, bawling his eyes out. Brother would be the one who was doing all of the crying, and I would be self-contained, like a rock, like an island, like a robot with no emotions, just completely cool and calm and collected, and maybe shedding a few tears, but my brother would be the one who would be crying more, and I would be the more kept together one, especially due to the fact that my brother was walking our sister down the aisle. However, it seemed like I was the one who was crying a fair amount. And I actually talked to somebody who got recently married during the reception. Very interesting thing that I want to bring up is the fact that it seems as though when you're at somebody else's wedding, if you've never been a main part of a wedding, like the main family, I guess you'd say, the close family, when you see people walking down the aisle and everybody's crying at the actual wedding ceremony at the church, I always thought to myself, and the person I talked to agreed with me on this, is that you see that and you're kind of like, oh, I don't get what the big deal is. Why is everybody crying so much? I don't understand that. Like, I mean, like, obviously it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's a very happy time, but I don't get what all the emotion is about, the need for all the crying, so to speak. But then when you're in that scenario, when you're in that person's shoes, all of a sudden you finally understand just how emotional of a situation it is, and all these emotional people around you, and you're seeing all these emotional faces, and there's just so much emotion. And I noticed at this wedding, at least, that the one thing that can set me off in an emotional scene is seeing somebody else crying. Ooh, that set me off. Ooh. So basically, when my sister and her brother were walking down the aisle, I think there was a lot of crying from the close family, a lot of shedding of tears. But then once the bride and groom were at the front, congratulations again to my sister and her fiance, Brandon Lucas. Once the bride and groom were at the front, everybody else kind of simmered down, so to speak. Whereas myself, I don't know what it was, but the emotions were like still in me, and like the emotions were like, Greg, sorry about this, but we need to keep getting expelled a little bit, because there's just too much emotions in you right now. So like for like the next 15 minutes on and off after that point, I would just suddenly start getting choked up and like getting teary-eyed. I wasn't necessarily saying I was like bawling or anything. It's not like I was just like like not anything like that, but I was still just being like and every once in a while, and it was a mess that I did not expect at all. And I had my brother standing right next to me, and I had a handkerchief on me, so every time I went to wipe my eyes, he would notice and turn over and be like, "What are you, still crying?" It's like, no, I wasn't crying that much. Then during the reception, he kept telling me how much I was crying. I wasn't even crying that much. Whatever. It was a beautiful moment. Just didn't expect to cry as much as I did. Whoa. Sorry to go side note here. It is hot this week. Is it hot where you guys are? Because, damn, it's getting hot right now. I might crack open a window. Actually, screw that. I'm going to crack open this window right now. So, hopefully, you guys probably won't hear any background noise. Just give me a second. Professionalism. So professional, folks. So yeah, that was the ceremony. We got a whole lovely bunch of pictures out in front of the church. A lot of awesome photos. The bride and groom thought of this really awesome idea where instead of throwing rice or confetti or whatever, because it seems like a lot of weddings do that. I don't know if it's just Italian weddings, but weddings seem to do that. But it seemed like the church that they wanted to have the wedding at had very strict rules against that. So instead they gave us what they called wands. I think they're called something wands, like party wands or something. But they were basically just like little sticks with a bell on the end and little bits of ribbon on the end that like flicked around. So as they ran out, you could kind of just flick it around and no mess or anything, which I thought was pretty awesome. And it was really neato idea. I thought it was really cool, though, and it made for some really nice pictures. And another thing, too, the priest was awesome. Everything he said was awesome. And it was also, just going to keep using the word awesome. It's also really cool, too, how during the rehearsal dinner, when we were at the church, kind of going through the motions, he gave a lot of tips to Miranda and Lucas, the bride and groom, and the rest of us, how to stand and where to stand and what to do from the perspective of photographers. He would be like, oh, stand here, or like take a step back, because then it's easier for the photographers to get a better shot from the angle they'll probably be at, and chances are they were taking shots from those angles. Like this guy had been through his rounds, been through his weddings. So that was just a little side note I wanted to get in there. So then, I don't know if you guys can hear that. A bunch of people outside having fun or something. So then there was that little in between time that all weddings have. I don't know if there's a proper name for it. Got to talk with relatives and family that I hadn't seen in a while. Tell them about my life. Actually, didn't bring up the podcast now that I think about it. I could have, it'd been good word of mouth, good promotion there. Just started handing out flyers during my sister's wedding or something. No, I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I told them about what I'm up to and whatnot, and discussed various things with them, how their lives are doing, that kind of stuff. Not to make it sound boring or anything. I feel like I'm making it sound boring right now. It's nice to catch up with family and friends that you haven't seen in a while. But, fast forward through that part, because that part essentially just resulted in me getting super tired because of how early we got up and all the stuff that had already been happening this morning. Still looking suave and fancy as hell, though. So we show up at the banquet. We have our little introductions, which were nice. And then we started having our food and whatnot. But one thing that was really awesome, I'm just going to keep using the word awesome. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't even give a shit. One thing that was really awesome was the timing of the speeches. Miranda and Lucas purposely planned it out, the bride and groom purposely planned it out that the speeches would be done just long enough after parts of meals so people were done eating or just halfway through eating, so then the speeches would happen so people wouldn't be running around or hitting the bar or anything, and most people were listening. And that is basically, as far as I could tell, that is exactly what happened. And then to make those speeches even better was that all of them were extremely well done. Shout out to the groomsman speech, which was done by Luke and Carson. I don't know if you guys listen to this podcast, but shout out to you two hunks for having possibly one of the funniest wedding speeches that I've ever heard. Also, my mother had to do a speech, and man, she was rewriting that speech so many times. I have no idea how many times she rewrote that, but man, it was an amazing speech. And my mother is an amazing speaker. She didn't think her speech skills were, I don't know, that great before it or something, but man, that woman can do a speech flawlessly without a problem, or at least that's what it looked like. So shout out to her. It was a really awesome speech of her. And the bride and groom also had amazing speeches. Lucas, the groom, was worried that his speech was too long because according to his practices, it did sound like it was too long. I don't know how much he cut it down. I didn't keep a timer of it or anything, but it was, and I told him this after his speech. I said it was worth every minute. Donnie, it was worth every minute. And my sister, obviously. She called me I can't remember 100%, but I want to say a self-claimed, self-renowned geek and badass. So that's how my sister sees me. So, Miranda, if you're listening to this, thanks for the, I'll consider that a compliment. No, but thanks for that. That was cool of you to say. And then another big thing that happened around the time of all these speeches was the father-daughter dance, which wasn't so much of a father-daughter dance as it was a brother-sister dance. And as I mentioned earlier, my brother got to walk my sister down the aisle, so it was only fair that I got to do the father-daughter, brother-sister dance with my sister. We danced to the song, the radio edit, I should say, Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd. And the reason I have to say radio edit is because the original song is 25 minutes long, but my sister managed to find a 3-minute radio edit, which I'd say was very well condensed and hit all the right notes musically. That I had a whole criteria. If I can remember it right now, I'll go over it. But I remember Miranda asking me when I was sending her a few songs what I was looking for in a song. And she ended up finding this song. And the reason I keep saying that, and I listened to it and I thought it was a great song too, so that's why we decided on it. We're actually conflicted on that song in Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd as well. However, me and my sister were both leaning towards Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is funny because we kind of really didn't say anything to each other. We kind of were just teetering on the two songs, and Miranda made the final decision. And then the morning after, I was listening to Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, and I sent her a message being like, "This song's too sad. I'm kind of all for Crazy Diamond." And then she messaged me back, and she was like, "Oh, I told the DJ to do Crazy Diamond yesterday, so it's a good thing we're on the same page because I was worried I might have picked the wrong song." So I'm glad I could kind of give her that reinforcement. Where was I going with that? I was going a different direction with that. It doesn't matter. Oh, yeah. My criteria. So let me see if I can quickly remember that. So I didn't want a song that was too long, and I didn't want a song that was too fast because it was a slow dance song, like most or all father-daughter songs. I wanted it to musically make sense, or musically work, if that makes sense. Like I wanted the musicality to be more focused towards or a song that could be slow dance to, kind of thing. Not only just tempo and length, but also just sort of the atmosphere of the song. And I didn't want the lyrics to be too sad or also too weird, because some lovey-ish slow dance songs are very much, especially some of the songs I went through, was very much, some of the lyrics kind of turned me the wrong way, for lack of a better term. Especially because I'm dancing with my sister, so some of those lyrics were a little too... And the last and most important point, in my opinion, was I also wanted a song that either my father liked or song that my father liked, or a sort of song that would sort of be played in his honor, kind of thing. I feel like I'm using the wrong words here. Just to get this out of the way, there was a lot of, in all the speeches, not all the speeches, but my mother's speech and the groom's and bride's speech talk about my father, or our father, my family, or blah, 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 blah. Just get on with it. Anyways, I'll make this quick because I don't want to bum out this talk of a lovely celebration, but it was kind of something that needed to be discussed. Definitely wasn't something we could have ignored. And I'll get into it in a later podcast. I'll get into all that garbage. But it was good. What everybody had to say about my father was meaningful and respectful, and I think hit all the right notes. It would have been nice to see him there. Which brings me to my next point, is the fact that I had to dance with my sister to this song, and I was afraid, especially after the fiasco at the church, that I would be bawling my eyes out like a little baby. And luckily I didn't. My brother gave me some good advice before the dance, saying, just do what I did when I walked Miranda up the aisle at the church. Just don't think about it and have fun with it. And honestly, for the most part, that's what I did. I wonder if you guys heard that bird chirping in the recording. Anyways, so that's exactly what I did, and it went fairly well. And slow dancing's kind of funny during weddings, because you kind of get to talk to the person you're slow dancing with, which I anticipated. So me and Miranda had a little bit of chatting, and we also did a little bit of singing along to the song. And it's funny too, because apparently at the beginning of the dance, my brother choked up a little bit and was getting a little teary-eyed. But then later on, I ended up making eye contact with him while I was dancing with my sister during this dance. And I could kind of feel the emotions inside me, like it was keeping them down, but I could kind of sense, I could feel that they were there. And when I saw him, I was like, oh God, if I make eye contact with Andrew and he starts tearing up, or he starts looking like he's going to cry, I'm going to just start bawling. Luckily, when I saw him, his tearing up and little crying session or whatever it was over. And he didn't look like he was crying at all or had been crying. And he just kind of smiled at me, and I smiled back at him, and I was like, whew, thank God. Not to say it was a bad thing. I just didn't want to be a weeping mess while I'm next to my sister slow dancing with her, just being like, meanwhile she'll just be like, I hope this dance is over soon. He's crying all over my beautiful dress and my beautiful makeup and hair because I look so pretty. Miranda, you looked wonderful that night. I already told you that during the slow dance, but thought I'd just reiterate that. And so then that was over, and that was fun. And I had quite a few people around my father's age, friends of mine, come up to me and say that they really liked the song choice, which made me feel really great about the song me and Miranda selected. But then I also told them to go and say that to Miranda, because I think they assumed I selected the song, but I did not entirely. I'd say I at least approved of the song in my opinion, but I definitely wanted them to go say the same thing to my sister. So that's all out of the way. All the emotional stuff was out of the way. We're eating. And then the booze came out. And then the dancing came out. And for those of you that know me, I loves me a good dance floor. So for the rest of the night, almost the entirety of the night, honestly, if it wasn't so hot that day, and if I wasn't in a full tux, I probably would have been on the dance floor the whole night. But for the most part, I still was on the dance floor for the whole night. And if I wasn't, I was either at the bar taking celebratory shots, or I was finding somewhere to cool off. Because, ooh. And I missioned through it, and I wore my tuxedo jacket through the whole night. And that handkerchief that I had on me soaked up as much sweat as it possibly could. It basically got to a point, not to sound gross, but it got to a point where my handkerchief was like the only cool thing on me. I would dab it on my head and I would be like, oh, it's nice and cold. But it was probably nice and cold because it soaked up all my sweat, and all that sweat got nice and cold inside of my jacket. Which, now that I think about it, I don't know how that's possible, but I'm not going to question it. So I killed it on the dance floor. My whole family really was kicking it on the dance floor, which was pretty awesome. Close family. There were a lot of people on the dance floor, though. It was just really awesome. And then, so basically dancing for the rest of the night. And then there was a final dance. They ended at 1 o'clock because it was in downtown Toronto, and it was a residence hotel banquet type deal. So, it ended at 1, which kind of sucked, but it was still pretty awesome because there were still a lot of people there at the end of 1, so everybody kind of slowly meandered. But then another awesome, crazy thing which happened, which also happened at Fort Lauderdale, which I don't know if I mentioned when I talked about Fort Lauderdale on my podcast, or that podcast when I did talk about it, is after everything was said and done, all of a sudden we all started singing the national anthem, which was pretty awesome and patriotic. And then we all kind of just applauded. It was hilarious, but it was also amazing. I don't think anybody got any real footage of it. I know my cousin got like the last 30 seconds of it, I think, but other than that, not much else. It's pretty awesome though. So then the next day, and then there was a tiny after party in the groom's parents' room, which was pretty awesome. So I didn't go to bed until about 2:30, and I had quite a bit of alcohol in my system and feeling good. And then I went to bed at the hotel we were at, which was also awesome. Something I would highly suggest if you're having a wedding at a fancy hotel, because then you don't got to worry about shit. Yeah, just go to bed. And I woke up with a pretty killer hangover, and then kind of just hung out all Sunday with some of the people who were at the wedding, and actually got to see the bride and groom for dinner that night, because Miranda left some stuff at our house, but we still got to see them, have a lovely dinner, a lovely discussion, and then it struck midnight on Sunday, and it was my 23rd birthday. And honestly, I kind of had an awesome birthday day. And it's not over yet. Oh, my sister might have taken the weekend before my birthday, but I still got the weekend after my birthday, and that's what I'm going to talk about next week. But I just want to quickly go over something. Is I kind of had kind of the perfect birthday day, in the sense that everything just kind of went right. You know what I mean? I went to work. I just had a sort of lazy day. And then another thing that was amazing was there was a barbecue social at our work that was lab wide. So I just kind of pretended like everybody was celebrating my birthday at my work. So I got a free burger and a free beer out of it, which is pretty awesome. So, kind of didn't work myself too hard. Just kind of relaxed and had a nice work day, nothing too crazy or complicated or anything. And then I went home, and my mother suggested that me and her go to Staten, Maine, a restaurant which I don't think I've ever been to. So we went to one that she knew of, the location of, so we went over there. Had some awesome food. I had some awesome tacos. Had a few beers there myself. My mom didn't have anything because she was driving. Just sort of relaxed there and went back home. Played a bunch of video games and just didn't worry about anything or think about anything. And then by the time I went to bed, I think it was past midnight. So clock struck 12 at midnight and my birthday was done. But it's not entirely done. I'm sure next week when I do my recording, we'll talk about what that entailed. Some dude is ripping his tires up outside. I don't know if you guys heard that. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was an awesome birthday day. I actually posted on Facebook, birthday mood, and posted the song, Today Was a Good Day, by Ice Cube. Yeah, Ice Cube. Because it was. That song basically, like, sort of encompassed how I felt by the end of that last Monday, this Monday. Wow, it was only this Monday. It was just like, I kind of did my normal day. I even went to work. I didn't work from home because I was already working from home for a bunch of days for the wedding because everything was so hectic. And, just had a nice relaxing day where everything just sort of went right. There wasn't any crazy traffic or anything. Work was nice and relaxing. I got a free barbecue beer party out of it. Got to play a bunch of video games. Got to go to a nice dinner with my mother. Everything just sort of went right. And, it's kind of the perfect day that you can ask for. A reasonably perfect day. Realistic kind of perfect day. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I'm going to end it on that. I hope you all have an amazing day, an amazing week. I'll talk to you in less than a week. Talking more about my birthday because I can't get enough of myself. But I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great birthday whenever your birthday is. This is Gregory, 23-year-old Gregory now, signing off. Take us away, 22-year-old outro Greg. Maybe I should update that. Whatever. Later. Have a good night, everyone. Well, folks, that's all we have for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll join us next week for whatever crazy shit we talk about. Until next time, have a good one, and